I do have a question. I suspect you might resist answering it, but your predecessor made reference to a number of investigations that pre-exist your tenure, and he publicly indicated that one of those investigations, it's known as the Yeshiva investigation, was close to completion. And since the investigation was made public, and since former Commissioner Peters made a serious allegation of political interference on the part of City Hall, how do we find out as an oversight body whether that investigation had merit or resulted in an actual finding?
On that one, given the prior public comment, I can say the investigation is ongoing.
I guess the challenge, and I understand the need for confidentiality, but when you have a former commissioner, right, make a serious allegation of possible political interference, doesn't the public have a right to know whether that investigation had any merit whatsoever?
Well, the investigation's ongoing, so...
It is ongoing?
Yes, I'm sorry.
I don't know if I heard...
I said that in my prior answer, yes. That, as to that particular... Although we typically don't comment at all on investigations, I think given the public statements that have already been made about that investigation, I feel comfortable saying that it is ongoing. Our investigation continues into that matter. And I don't know why Commissioner Peters would say the things he said. What I can say is that I have not been on the receiving end of any interference in the Yeshiva investigation.
Okay. Councilmember Kallos.
Commissioner Garnett, when your predecessor, Mark Peters, was terminated by the mayor, he sent a letter to the city council, and I quote, "The context of the mayor's interactions over the past several years with DOI, combined with certain ongoing investigations about which the mayor and his senior staff are very much aware, must cast doubt upon the mayor's true motives," end of quote. What is the status of the ongoing investigations that were referenced by your predecessor?
Well, I'm not going to talk about any ongoing investigations, but what I can tell you is that no investigation at DOI has been closed because of Mark Peters' firing.
Within the same statement, your predecessor references interactions with the mayor's office and the mayor's senior staff. Have you had any contact, interactions, communications, or otherwise with the mayor or his staff related to any ongoing investigations since you're coming on?
I have not spoken to the mayor at all since the day of my nomination, other than, since the day of my confirmation, other than I was at City Hall for a meeting and he happened to be passing by and he stuck his head in to say hello and we exchanged pleasantries. That was the end of it. I've had no conversations with anyone at City Hall about any particular case other than what has sort of always been the case with City Hall, where we don't have direct access to City Hall emails or documents. So when we have requests, they go through the office of the council to the mayor. And there have been times when we've had conversations specifically about kind of the mechanics and scope of document or email requests, but they haven't been about what we are doing on the investigative side. And there has been no interference with any investigation.
And just to, I'm learning, I appreciate your transparency. Typically, when an investigative authority is interested in accessing communications, I think we all see on TV, whether fiction or nonfiction, folks showing up in three-letter jackets, walking away with computers or other box materials, and often a daytime surprise. What are you finding when you're requesting emails or other data from the administration in terms of whether you're getting the full and complete, including emails that may have been deleted, or how are you dealing with the preservation of evidence?
So I believe that we're getting what we request. I'm not aware of any situations in which we have not been able to get the things that we request. I think some of it is mechanical, that many mayoral agencies are participating in an email system that we call Clearwell, which enables us to have more direct access to emails. The City Hall and a few other city agencies do not participate in that process. So there has to be some mechanism to get things. It's certainly the case that if there were a situation where we perceived a need for surprise or for an additional level of secrecy or covert operation, we would do whatever we thought was necessary to meet those needs.
Have you been able to gain access to people's communications that are relate to their job but are being done through personal communications, potentially in violation of the rules, such as people using their BlackBerry and BlackBerry Messenger, or I'm trying to remember the name of the new app folks use for encrypted communications?
WhatsApp?
There's WhatsApp, and there's another one that's specifically just for, but is that something that you see people still using versus communications methods that are more easily tracked?
So when we ask for information, I can tell you that we sometimes will depending on the needs of the investigation, sometimes we specifically ask for emails from a custodian account that is controlled by City Hall or by the other relevant agency, and sometimes we ask for any communications on any platform, which would include personal email and any other platform. It's also the case that where we have knowledge that, certainly in a criminal investigation where we have knowledge that other means of communication were used, we have all the law enforcement tools that would be appropriate to that, a search warrant or subpoena request to the internet provider.